Hello and welcome back to Andy's Cavern. How are we all doing tonight, folks? I've got a real treat for you guys tonight. I've got an inspirational boxing guru in our presence. Welcome to the Cavern, Frank. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thanks. I'm happy to be with you here because I've seen so many of your videos. And you're a very upbeat guy. So I hope you're with me tonight, Andy.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for doing this. It's very much appreciated. What was I going to say? I'll say my first memory of you, Frank, was when you were a sports presenter on Scottish television. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember my dad telling me that you used to be a boxer, which I wouldn't have known otherwise.
Yeah.
And then probably a couple of years ago, you must be about 2 years ago now. I was on my phone. I don't think I had TikTok long, and then I thought I recognised that guy. And you were telling us about what you eat. That was the first video of yours that I saw.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So many people ask me that because I think they think I'm some kind of Superman being almost 80. And they watch the videos of me punching the bag and all that stuff. And I think they're kind of incredulous. How can a guy 80 do that? I don't know how I do it. It just happens. But many people say to me, "Oh God, what is your diet?" And I'm thinking,
yeah,
hang on, it's nothing special. But then I thought about it, and people were really interested. And even this week, I've had two people on Instagram saying, "Tell me what your diet is." And I'm not professing to be any kind of nutritional guru or somebody who knows
yeah,
all about diet and so on. All I can tell them is what I eat, right? And
yeah,
it's not very special, and not only is it not very special, it's not exciting, but it's fresh every day. Is cooked fresh. I think that's
yeah,
the key. I don't eat rubbish. I don't
yeah,
eat fizzy drinks, sugary drinks. I don't eat crisps or I don't snack or anything
yeah,
like that. I think that's the key. It's
yeah,
more for me. It's more what you don't eat than what
yeah,
you do eat.
yeah,
So and people go down that road of saying, well, I'm going to cut out the crisps, I'm going to cut out the bacon rolls, and cut out the sugary drinks, and Coca-Cola, all that stuff. Then I think virtually overnight you'll feel better.
yeah,
So that's kind of my message. That's what I do anyway. And I eat, and the other thing that I have this, and it's got a name, and I can't remember what somebody called it, but I have this thing where I have like a 16 or 17 hour fast after I eat
ah,
in the evening, and I
yeah,
don't eat again until the next morning. And I think that helps me.
yeah. Intermittent fasting. I started doing that myself about 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and I think I lost about 2 stone at the time,
Did
and I
you?
felt so
Yeah.
much better for it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's just been disciplined, I think, to do that. And
That's
I
true.
try and stay away from ultra processed foods and that. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
all any bread I eat is like sourdough, and I buy real butter instead of all
Yeah.
these breads.
Yeah.
Because I think
Sure.
from what I've read, like seed oils and that's really bad for you. They talk about gut health a lot nowadays, don't
Well, they do. That's
they? Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So
And it's an epidemic. The people who are overweight and obese,
yeah,
and I think, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. You've made your choice. The thing that gets me is that, as far as I can see, and I've seen a lot of people in shops and supermarkets and so on, where they're clearly overweight, let's put it kindly, but in tow they've got one or two children who are
yeah,
going that way as well.
yeah,
And I'm thinking, well, I feel like going up to them and saying, look, it's your life. Do what you do, but don't ruin your kids' life. Take responsibility and show them the proper way to do things and to eat. Um, I'd love to do that, but probably get thumped in the face or something like
lead by example. That's what they should be
that.
doing, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But, where's I going to next? Yeah. So tell us about your son. Helps a lot with your videos. You were telling me.
Yeah, Paul, he started it all really about 3 years ago. He and we used to go to the gym 3 times a week. And one day he said to me, show me how to throw an uppercut. And it was on a thing called a wall-mounted bag, right? It's a kind of angular thing that allows you to throw everything, crosses, hooks, uppercuts. And I said, okay, and I was unaware that he was filming on his phone. And he said, I'm going to put that on TikTok. And I said, fine, I hadn't seen TikTok, but I knew about it. And he put it on. And then next time we were in the gym, he said, show me how to throw a left hook or something. And I did that. And the thing just took off like wildfire. And on TikTok.
Yeah.
And very soon it was 50,000, then it's 70,000, and so on. Now it's 352,000. But the thing about it is people were buying into the instructional videos.
Yeah.
And so they, you know, and I thought about it a lot. And I think the appeal was that I could do it and I could demonstrate myself and not just say, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
But I say, this is what you should do and this is how you do it. But I also say, this is why you do it, because it will keep you safe. This is why you have your hand in front of your chin. This is why you do this. And so I think we explain it in the context of this is how you do it. This is me demonstrating how you do it. And then I'll tell you why you do it. There's a reason you do this. And you explain it in an uncomplicated way. People buy into that. And you know, with young people, so TikTok's a young people's platform. And young people don't have the patience. So they want to get it all in sound bites, and they want to be able to say, well, I understood that. I know what he's talking about. On the other one, we went, Instagram was just not happening for us. And we were trying and nothing was happening. And then one day I posted a video of me on the punch bag. It's one with a maroon tracksuit on. And we hit 4.2 million views.
Wow.
And then we repeated it a couple of times, and I think it's done 11 million views in total. And that's what helped Instagram. Instagram's now at 760 odd, I think, thousand. And then on the back of that, I said, I'd like to do some YouTube tutorials and shorts. And Paul said, fine. So we did that, and that's at 78,000. It's incredible.
It's amazing.
And I'll tell you a little exclusive here. And I don't know if you heard of this guy. There's a guy called MrBeast.
MrBeast.
Have you heard of him? MrBeast.
I don't think so.
Right, I'll tell you about him. He's an American guy. He's about 26, 27. He's a billionaire through YouTube. He's got this thing called the Beast Games. He's got 643 million followers.
Wow.
Right.
Jeez,
So he stages these Beast Games. It's a bit like have you seen Squid Games?
I've not.
No,
somebody's told me I should watch it, but
yeah,
I've never.
It's a bit like that on a grander scale. I mean, so there's 1,000 people, and he whittles them down, and the winner gets $5 million.
Wow.
But along the way, you can win, $250,000. He just has different things along the way over the series of games. Anyway, his people got in touch last week. I think it was only about last Thursday, and said, through Paul, he does all this, my son.
Yeah.
And they said, do you want to take part in Beast Games? And I had to look it up and see what it was all about. And I've seen people are saying, well, you've done this, so here's $100,000 to you, or you press that button, you've got $250,000, all that kind of stuff. Would you like to take part? We'll fly you out. It's either this week or next week, can't remember, to North Carolina, and and I thought, it's not for me. I'm not very competitive. Yeah. And anyway, I said, I've been invited to the BBC Sports Personality of the Year Awards in Manchester next week. So we gave that a miss. Maybe I'll get another chance.
You never know, eh?
You look him up, Andy. It's fascinating, this guy, MrBeast.
I'll take a note of that, MrBeast.
Yeah.
I'll look that up
MrBeast.
after.
Yeah, he's the biggest
Yeah.
YouTuber in the world.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm one of the smallest. I
me too. Yeah,
think I've got 750
no,
subscribers or something. I started
that's
a car.
good.
I must be a glutton for punishment. I started a car channel as well because my son loves going to rallies and that. So,
Right. Oh,
so we've been going to we go to
yeah.
rallies and stuff like that, and film a bit of footage and that, and then I'll maybe talk about it, and then put it
But
up on the car channel.
that's the thing. It's great fun to do, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
If you get interest, then that's a bonus. It's lovely,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I only just recently started the car one, so
Yeah,
that'll be it'll maybe come eventually. It's just getting time to make content. Like I say, I'm
yeah,
quite often making videos in mid.
sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, you actually, what happens is you're on a treadmill now because that's what I'm finding. You know,
Yeah,
we have to shoot content a couple of times, 3 times a week, and then
yeah,
when we're going down to Manchester for the Sports Personality of the Year awards, we'll make sure we get content there.
yeah,
So everywhere and everything we do, we've got to think: uh, is there content here for us? Will
yeah,
people be interested in this? Should we do it? All that stuff.
yeah.
So it's all part of the game.
Something I thought was brilliant was that when Turkey Al Sheikh and the Saudis started getting involved in boxing, a lot of people were skeptical. Probably was a wee bit myself. But when I saw them inviting you out there and giving you the recognition you deserve,
Yeah.
it showed you they were interested in the whole game and not just the big names. Uh,
Well, that's true. And I mean, he invited. It all started last January when he invited us to the Ring Magazine Awards dinner
yeah, yeah,
in London, and this was a kind of this. So this was the first of the Ring Magazine Awards for many years, and also it's the first since he bought the magazine.
yeah,
And so we went down there, and it was a great night. It was fantastic, and of course, and on the back of that, I met him down there, and there was a guy standing next to him, and honest to God, I never paid attention, and he was part of the entourage, and I went over and spoke to him, and I said, thanks for inviting me. I'm Frank Gilfeather. He said, I know who you are. I invited you, and I said, yeah, but I thought maybe you didn't. No, of course I do. And there was a guy called KSI, who's
oh
a
yeah,
big rapper.
yeah,
So Turkey's guy sent me a video of him, Turkey, speaking to KSI, and KSI is talking about he was going to have a fight, a bit like Jake Paul.
yeah.
And he said, but I'm needing help. And Turkey said to him, I know a guy in Scotland who could help you. And you're thinking about me. So that night was great. But the guy standing in the entourage right next to Turkey Al Sheikh, I really didn't pay attention until the next day when Paul said, look at this video. I took the video of you talking to Turkey.
Yeah.
And it was Canelo standing there. I wish
Wow.
I'd kind of spotted him. I would have spoken to him. But it was a great night. We met so many fabulous people, and it was good. And then on the back of that, in fact, that night, his head of communications came to my table at the dinner and said, Turkey wants you in Riyadh for the Beterbiev versus Bivol fight, the second fight, next month in February. Will you come? Yeah, happy to come. So that was a great few days.
What a fight as well, wasn't it? I mean, that's the creme de la creme.
It was a great fun. Yeah, and there we are in the airport, and sorry, I beg your pardon, on the plane so we flew from Aberdeen to Amsterdam, then Amsterdam to Riyadh, and I'm loading up my case on the shelf above, business class, and next to me is over my bed, seat/bed, is another seat/bed joined together. And this guy's putting his stuff up, and he said, hello, nice to see you. And I said, nice to see you. And he shook hands, and he started chatting, and all the while, Paul, my son, he's touching me in the back. He's going, what? I said, what is it? He said, it's Terence Crawford. And I didn't recognize him, and I pretended I knew it was. Then we met a couple of times on that trip after it, and we went back on the same plane to Amsterdam. He'd come from Nebraska with Roberta Duran as well.
Yeah.
So it was just fabulous being in that
Oh, yeah.
company. Yeah.
I mean, Crawford's he's a modern day great, I think. I mean, I picked him to beat Canelo. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I know it's a bit of a gamble try to predict fights, but I try and do it now
Yeah.
and again. I got lucky with, that 5 versus 5 because
Oh,
somehow
did you?
I got the whole,
Yeah.
got the whole 5 right. And I'm like, oh, no,
Oh,
this will
brilliant.
be a
Yeah.
curse. This people expect me other stuff right, but no, I don't always get it right. But I did pick Crawford to beat Canelo. I just thought there wasn't the size difference that people were imagining. He's a strong guy, isn't he? He's got a wrestling background, I think, Crawford,
He's
doesn't
he's strong. He's got great shoulders, you know.
he? Yeah.
And actually, the thing about him is his ring craft, his boxing
Oh,
IQ. It's
just
superb.
just
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, he just
Yeah.
totally outboxed Canelo, didn't he? Really,
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
A masterclass.
Yeah.
I noticed you met one of my other favourite boxers, Alexander Usyk. I just think
He's a lovely guy.
yeah,
We've been. He follows me, and occasionally he'll like some of the videos that I do, and his I don't know what you call him, his manager, a spokesperson or something, lovely guy called Sergey Lapin. He got in touch, and he was over. So they were over to fight Dubois, Wembley Stadium, and he got in touch, and he said, "Are you coming for the fight?" And yeah, okay. And he said, "Why don't you come down early?" So the fight was on the Saturday. Why don't you come on Thursday and join us for the day?
wow,
And we said, okay. So we went down, we went to this hotel, we did video of Usyk, whom I'd never met. But interestingly, so he walks into the lobby, right? And we're all there. And I was the only, and Paul, he and I were the only outsiders, if you like. The others were all dressed basically in what looked like army fatigues. It was his team, right? There was uh, coaches, there was masseur, all that kind of stuff, whole heap of them. And I was speaking to this girl who's got the gear on, Team Usyk, and I said, "What do you do?" She says, "I'm a doctor. I'm his nutritionist. I travel everywhere with them." Yeah. And there was even a team from the state energy company in Ukraine who sponsored him. And so he comes down into the lobby. You'll see the video, and he walks into the lobby. And the team were all standing, lining up. It was almost like the royal family were coming in to shake hands. And he shook hands with two of them and gave them a hug, which I'm sure he does every day.
yeah,
And he looked over and he saw me, and he walked right over to me, and he gave me a big hug. And he said, "Thank you for coming." I said, "Wow, how could I resist it? The offer to come down?" And so we joined him in an entourage, in a convoy of 7 people carriers. He was in the front in a Rolls Royce, leading the way, chauffeur driven, of course. And we were in one of the 7 vehicles, which followed the Rolls Royce across London to Wembley that afternoon for the press conference, after which we all left together. And it was just a lovely day, you know?
an experience. Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
I mean, I think, but personally, I think he'll be go down as an all-time great. I don't know what you think yourself. How do you think he compares to champions in the past?
Well, there's 2 things I've got to say about him. He's an expert boxer, Eastern European style. And so the emphasis is on boxing rather than fighting.
Yeah,
So that's what makes him different. And that's what makes him stand out from the other heavyweights
yeah,
at the moment in the current era. The heavyweight division is awful. You know, in my view,
yeah,
it's almost talentless. And it makes you wonder, you know, when you look back on the grind, maybe sometimes you have to pull yourself up and think, well, maybe I'm being too nostalgic. But when you think of going back to even just as far as Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Floyd Patterson, Muhammad Ali, look at Muhammad Ali. Look at the people who fought around his era: Ken Norton, Ron Lyle, Oh, and a whole load of them that gave Ali some trouble at some point. And so you had a competitive heavyweight division in those days. Now you don't. And of course, what's happening is with the corruption, and there's always been corruption in professional boxing, but nowadays it's hard to understand where some of these governing bodies are coming from in terms of their thinking,
Yeah.
and why do we need, 4 belts? Why can't we? This is what Turkey Al Sheikh is trying to do. Why
Yeah.
don't we just have one champion in each weight category? And that's sensible.
Yeah.
So, but now it's the promoters call the shots and saying, well, we want to make that fight, so that's what we and we want it for a world title. So the governing bodies go along with it rather than saying, no, this is what's going to happen. But going back to Usyk, what makes him a champion is also his humility and his integrity, and his kind of authenticity. And I think that's what makes him, he's a special person.
Yeah.
So he's always going to be a special champion. And he's got the intelligence in the ring. He's got all the technique that you require from a champion boxer. He's not a fighter. He's a boxer.
What I noticed about him, I think a lot of people underestimate how physically strong he is, because he fights all these big guys and there's none of them pushing him around. He's, if anything, he's probably moving them back. I mean, but like you say, way back in the day, you never seen heavyweights out of shape like most of them are nowadays.
No, you're absolutely right. It's a good point you make, because when you look at Tyson Fury, for example, people like, I tipped Usyk in the 2 fights against Fury, and of course, especially on TikTok, the younger audience, they're going, "Oh no, you're biased. You're British. You should be." No, it's got nothing to do with nationality.
Yeah,
it's just that Fury, in my view, is not a good boxer.
Yeah,
He's a 20-stone lumbering giant who throws 2 punches at a time and then grabs, because after 2 punches he's tired.
Yeah,
And then he's got to go again. And then he leans on his opponent and uses that weight to try and suck the energy from his opponents. So Dubois, I had hopes for him, but he's got a bit of a glass jaw, and so too has Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua,
yeah. And who else is there? Joseph Parker. I watched him in Riyadh against Martin Bakole.
Yeah.
And I wasn't impressed.
Bakole disappoints me. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so frustrated, because I think he's a really skillful guy, but he just comes in way too heavy, and I'm like, and I feel sorry for Billy Nelson, because Billy Nelson's always fighting his corner.
You're right. Well, I had a word with Nelson in the Saudi when I was out there, and actually with Bakole. Bakole's a lovely guy,
Yeah.
And you're standing next to these guys. I mean, I look like I look like a total wimp against these guys. They can kind of pick you up with one hand. And I'm looking at him and think, wow. And then I saw him in the ring that night. He was staying at my hotel. I saw him in the ring that night. He got hit kind of in the top of the head, and that was the end of it. I'm thinking, that's weird. But he got life-changing money that night. According to Billy Nelson, who told me that in the dining room the day after the fight. And now he's getting offered similar sums to fight the top heavyweights, and he's not ready. He's not fit. So I think he's letting himself down.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You know how you say you got hit on top of the head? That's something I was wanting to talk about as well, is illegal punches. Would that be classed as an illegal punch? Because I feel boxers get one I noticed recently was Eubank Jr. against Ben. The second knockdown in the 12th round, he got punched in the back of the head, and the ref gave a count. I couldn't believe it. I thought, that's an illegal shot. Why are refs counting a knockdown from an illegal shot?
You're absolutely right. And I said that so often watching today's professional boxing, and think the referees let so much go. Let's look back to less than 2 weeks ago, when we had Fraser Clark fighting Jamie
Schiavone.
Right. And I thought, if ever that was a bad advert for boxing and for heavyweight boxing. That was
Yeah.
the fight. But you're right. What happened was we saw the referee standing right next to them when they were clinching, and they clinched more often than two people who are engaged. You know, they were just Fraser Clark was the worst. So it
Yeah.
was the 1-2 and grab. And I'm thinking, how can the referee not warn him for holding?
For
He
holding.
held every time he got in close, hold. Right, okay, you get away with it once or twice and you get told off. This guy
Yeah.
never even got told off.
Yeah.
So the refereeing is poor. And as far as, and so that's what I was coming to. Fraser Clark and the other guy punching each other in the back of the head in the clinches.
Yeah.
And the two things I thought, the referees letting them away with this. But the other thing I thought is, are you guys so thick that you think that's going to, patting the guy on the back of the head is going to make a difference to the fight?
No.
Do you think it's going to pick up points? Because it's not.
No.
And it was such a blooming boring fight, and it was low level, as Simon Jordan called it. Yeah.
Skill wise, yeah. I mean, it was more like a barroom brawl. It didn't seem to be. I thought Fraser Clark might have been a bit more maybe gun shy after that Wardley injury, but he didn't seem to be. But I thought
No.
skill.
Yeah.
I thought he fought the complete wrong fight. He was like he was trying to knock him out for the whole. He's
Well,
not a big.
there's the other thing, Andy. I don't believe, having watched that, I don't believe either of them has a knockout punch.
No.
They're not punchers. Although, had the 11th round gone on another 30 seconds, I think the guy would have stopped Clark.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why can't you see that? Why can't you see that you've got Clark reeling and he's staggering all over the ring, and yet he was standing over. It was a hopeless fight. Yeah.
I thought he should have probably pulled out the end of the 11th. I wouldn't have complained at that because
No.
he did get through the 12th, but at what cost?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It does become frustrating, doesn't it? There's been a lot of controversial decisions with scoring as well, hasn't there, in recent times? That's something I've always feared for Usyk, that he was going to get done on the cards, because there's no way they were split decisions. I think two of the fights, one against Fury and one against Joshua, they were scored split decisions. And you were lucky if Joshua or Fury won 3 rounds a fight in any of the fights.
You're right. The refereeing is awful. You've got to wonder, you think, why aren't the governing bodies stepping in? And I think I said it after one of the fights, I can't remember which one, where the judging was so bad. I thought the obvious thing to do is tell them they're never going to judge again because they're hopeless, But it doesn't happen.
There seems to be no accountability for these judges.
No.
All the referees, to that matter.
That's true, yeah. The referees are poor. Yeah.
Joshua Buatsi, Zach Parker fight, was that a couple of weeks ago? And I thought Buatsi barely won a round or maybe 2 at the most, yet he won the fight. It was like...
I know.
It's bizarre,
okay. Yeah. You feel sorry for these guys that look, think, well, what more can I do?
I remember years and years ago I watched a fight. I always kind of go back to this one. It was a guy called Jeff McCreesh, and he was fighting a guy called O.J. Abrahams, who was maybe more a journeyman kind of guy.
Yeah.
But it was maybe a 6-round fight, I think. But Abrahams dropped Jeff McCreesh twice and dominated the fight. Yeah. I think it was Ian John Lewis, the referee. He was scoring the fight and he gave it to Jeff McCreesh. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, and it was totally just incredible how he was going on. I think he was lined up for a bigger fight, and then he was coming out with excuses. I had a big meal for my tea tonight and stuff like that. just crazy, but that's a long time ago. But I mean, the commentary I always find interesting as well. You wonder if you're watching the same fight as what they're
that's right. Well, I experienced it in Riyadh. Watched Beterbiev against Bivol, the second fight, And we were at ringside, and on my left were two guys. One was the boxing correspondent for the ESPN, and then there was a guy who is a principal columnist for Ring Magazine. And on my right were two spectators, two guys who are Scots, actually. The two young guys who'd won a competition to get ringside. So I'm there. David Benavidez was in front of me, right in front of me. And we stood up at the end to await the verdict. And the two guys, the guys from ESPN and the Ring Magazine, and the other two guys from Scotland said, "Oh, Beterbiev then the winner." And I said, "What fight are you guys watching?" Bivol, an artist. Bivol won it by a mile. Okay, it was close enough, but there was no dubiety. Yeah. Bivol won that, and they were going, "Nah, I don't think so." I think, gee, imagine if you were judging that fight. And of course, his hand was raised. Bivol's hand was raised, and they turned to me and said, "Oh, yeah, you got it right." God, yeah, I'm a boxer. I know I can get it right.
You know what you're looking at.
Yeah. So, and of course, we met Bivol the next morning, and he was a lovely guy. Absolutely. We'd met him at the Ring Magazine Awards the previous month, so he remembered us. Yeah. And he's a lovely guy. Again, an East European guy, right? Yeah. And they've got the respect for their opponents, the respect for their coaches, the respect for the elderly. They know how to behave because that's the way they've been brought up in boxing. I mean, whereas you get all these guys, as you've seen them at weigh-ins and press conference, who are shouting and screaming at each other. I think that's very unsavoury. I don't like that at all.
No. You can see what Fury was doing that to Usyk, and it was. I think it was because he was scared. Or he knew what was coming. You know, it was like he was fearing, and he just knew. And Usyk's just stone cold, isn't he? He's just smiling.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I managed to get through to the Josh Taylor's last fight, which unfortunately.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
So I managed to, the first time I'd been at a live show for a long time, and just enjoying the ambience of the whole thing. Sure. And I was lucky enough to speak to Steve Bunce, and I was asking him about why nobody like Finner like commentating and stuff. There's nobody asks them the proper questions, so to speak, when they're interviewing fighters, promoters, etc. But he said a lot of people in boxing are very thin-skinned. He says they're tough guys in the ring, but they're quite thin-skinned when it comes to taking criticism, which I could.
He's right. He's right, and not just that. What you've got to remember is that these guys like Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, and DAZN, which is partly owned by Turki Al-Sheikh. These guys who interview they're just sanitizing their questions because they don't want to upset Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren or Turki Al-Sheikh. And we, the viewer, is being cheated. So, we've been cheated because we want to know the answer to this question. Why aren't you asking it? And the reason is they're all employed by these people. And so, if you ask a difficult question, you'll be getting your P45 in the morning. So this is a part of the corruption, if you like, of boxing. We see it everywhere. And especially in boxing, when you've got these big organizations who own their own TV channels, and so that they're employing these guys to ask the questions.
So there's a kind of degree of dishonesty about the whole thing, really, isn't there?
Oh yeah, totally.
As regards to judging and refereeing, do you think some of that could be put down to incompetence or corruption? Or
I think it's both.
Both.
I think it's both. I think there is a high level of incompetence, and I don't want to kind of put a blanket over the fact, or some people make the statement, even in other sports, even in football, they'll say, a manager, who did he play for? Or did he play football? No, that doesn't matter so much, but it does help.
Yeah.
You know, so if you've got a football manager who's never played professionally, then he's got a bigger leap to go to become a top manager than somebody maybe who has played
Yeah.
professionally. On the other hand, the guy who hasn't played as a pro might be more articulate, he might be more sensible, he might have a better idea of tactics than the guy who has played. And it's
Maybe
the
a
same in boxing.
maybe a
It's the
smaller
same.
ego as well.
Exactly. That's a good point. And same with boxing judges. You know, you could say, have you ever boxed? Have you ever experienced a thump in the face
Yeah.
or a body blow or anything like that? You know, you don't have to go through these kind of things to be a good judge. You just have to use your common sense. And I think that's what we're missing. So we're
Yeah.
missing common sense, but also there's the corruption part of
Yeah.
it. You know, I'm not suggesting there are bribes or anything like that, but there are guys who are paid, I don't know what they're paid, but probably a high sum of money to be judges, and they want to judge the next promotion and the one after that and the
Yeah.
one after that. So it may well be that their thoughts are skewed towards the promoter
Yeah.
of that particular event.
Maybe even unconsciously. Yeah. That's
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Frank, I think we've just about run out of time. So I want to just give you a big thank you for coming on and give you a shout out. What's your TikTok logo? Is it Frank's Noble Art?
Well, Frank's Noble Art is all one word. That's Instagram. At Gilfeather is TikTok. And the YouTube one is Frank's Noble Art, 3 words. And that's got heaps of, they've all got tutorials. They've all got the tricks of the trade, the fundamentals of boxing that people want. And so that's where we're at.
So tune in to Frank on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And don't forget, like and subscribe, Andy's Cavern. And I'll say it's good night from Frank and good night from me.
Good night, Andy.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay.